What's going on, everybody? I'm your boy Big Dave,
And I'm your boy Ray, aka Mr. Yes Sir.
and we got another episode of Tequila Time.
Yes, sir. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
So today we're gonna talk about boundaries, okay? Because some people can't respect the boundaries up in this place.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times it depends on how you were raised. So I'll give you an example of an event that happened last night. So we went to this pink pier party, and it was this little girl there, and she was with her mom, and she had the little makeup and stuff on. And my friends, they were both wearing makeup. So the little girl looks at one of my friends and was like, "Oh, your makeup is very pretty." And she said, "I wish you would do my mom's makeup." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot." So I didn't want to look at her mom. So I'm trying not to look at her mom, but the little girl's just going in. The little girl's going ham. She was like, "You're very pretty. Not like my mom. My mom is ugly." So once she said the word ugly, then I was like, I gotta look at her mom now. So I turned to the side and I was like, damn, your kids say the darndest thing, but they be telling the mother freaking truth.
That's true. Because kids don't hold back at some point.
But I said, did her mom not teach her like not to be rude to her? Like I'm used to growing up when the little kids were always rude to other people, but never to their parents because they knew they would get popped. You know what I mean? And I know people are like, oh, well, you don't spank kids or you just give them a stern talking to, but I'm going to go a little biblical because it's partly true, right? Spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm not saying she had to beat her, but at least let her know, listen, you don't talk to mommy like that. Yeah. And she was just like, oh my gosh, she's right. Your makeup is so nice. She was like, I did my makeup. And then the girl was like, yeah, but you're ugly. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting there like, I think it's time to leave. Because for me, I'm like, this is like beating top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
we grew up different.
We definitely grew up different, bro.
But I see that more and more nowadays because like the kids nowadays, they feel like they can get away with anything.
Yes.
And even in like public settings, I tell my kids all the time, like, this is not a playground. Like, there's a time to play, there's a time not to play.
Thank you.
And you see like kids, the way they talk to their parents and stuff like that. And then the parents are the one getting all emotional now. And I'm like, no, I'm like, tell them, like, give them a stern talking to or whatever you have
to
do
something
to get them right on the right path. Because if not, they're going to do this wherever they go. And if they keep doing this wherever they go, they're going to grow up to do it when they're adults, and it's going to be worse.
Exactly. Bro, I mean, they had a little oscillating fan heater, right? To try and heat up it was like a little booth that we were in. So they're trying to heat it up. And the girl is over there sitting on it. Wow. And I'm like, yo, her dress about to catch on fire. And I'm like, so one of my friends, she's older. So she's like, oh, no, don't sit on there, honey. And I'm like, don't. My thing is, I don't mess with other people's kids unless you give me permission. Yeah. Like you're family related and you like, oh, Ray, this is your niece, your nephew, whatever. If they get out of line, you can discipline them.
Unless you work there.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there like, and so unless you work there, one of the workers comes in and the worker's like, hey, she can't be sitting on there. And the mom's just sitting there like, oh, come on, honey, get off of that thing, get off of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like we would have got taken to the bathroom, popped, and they said, when we get back out here, you better act right. This little girl was going, bro. And then she ran out of the booth without her mom. And I'm looking like, somebody's going to kidnap this girl. So the mom says the same thing. Oh, somebody's going to take you and throw you in the river. You better come back here. But she's still sitting there and not. And I'm like, because I don't believe in chasing kids. Because I kind of feel like if you have a pet, especially dogs, the more you chase them, the more they're going to take off because they think it's fun time.
Yep.
So I'm like, no, you don't chase her, but make sure you talk to her firmly, like get back over here and sit your butt down. And then if you do have to, go to the bathroom, yoke her up. Like, listen, we're not going to play this game. I saw a perfect example of this. We went to the museum with my nephew. And this lady and her son come, and the mom stops. This was, I applauded her for this. She stopped. She got down to his level. She said, listen, when we go inside of here, if I lose sight of you, we're going home. And then she was like, do you understand what I said? So the kids, he's jumping around because he wants to go in the museum.
Yeah.
So they take a few steps. She stops. She gets back down again to his level. She said, when we get inside of here, if I lose sight of you, if you run off and I can't see you, we're leaving. So he's like, yeah. Okay. And in my head, I'm like, he not hearing it because he's a boy. Yeah. So, you know, boys, we're rambunctious. So we just like, I ain't hear nothing you say. Let's get to the activities.
Yeah.
So
it's like they hear half of it. It's like, okay. Let's hurry up and get inside. Let's just hurry up and get inside.
Yeah. So they get inside the museum now. She gets back down to his level. She says, if I lose sight of you, we're leaving. He's like, okay. Boom. He takes off. She calls him. She gave him one more chance. She said, what did I say? And he was like, if you lose sight of me, we're leaving. So she was like, okay, so you understand what that means. He was like, yeah. She was like, okay. Boom. He took off. She said, let's go. Got in the car. And I'm sitting here watching the whole thing. Because if I see that, I'm like, I got to see what the conclusion is. Because, you know, it's a lot of parents out there that's just like, oh, we forgive him. And the kid goes rambunctious. So you see the car driving by, you see his face plastered on the window, he's crying. And I'm cracking up like it was funny to me. I'm cracking up laughing. I was like, she was about her business. Yeah, and that's how more parents need to be, because then kids learn what boundaries are. So that they don't cross them when they get older.
Some people like they do that. And they'll get to the car and the kid's crying and screaming, and they'll be like, are you gonna listen this time? And sometimes they do listen. You go back inside, but she's like, nope, we're not playing this game. So he must do it often to where it's like, you need to learn your lesson now, because I'm tired of this.
Yeah,
which is true. Like, you need to learn your lesson sooner or later.
Exactly. So now let's transition to being older, because I know me, like I was dating somebody, right? And I have been to their house like 4 or 5 times, right?
Yeah.
And I get to their house, and wherever they tell me to sit at, oh, you can just sit right here, I'm staying there. I'm not getting up. I'm not turning on the TV. I'm not going in the fridge or nothing. Anything that I want, I'm going to ask you for. Hey, can I get a glass of water? So she was like, Ray, you've been here like 5 times. It's okay. And I'm like, no. Like, the way I was raised, you don't do that. You stay still and you ask. You don't just go. So people be like, oh, Ray, you're like family now. You come through. And I'm like, I still don't do it. I go to my cousin's house and she'll be like, oh, you sit in the living room. And I'll sit in the living room and I'll just sit there. The only time I will go like in the cat, like if I want water or something, is if they're not there, or if like my cousin, she works from home. So if she's working, I'll just be like, hey, I'm gonna grab it. You know what I'm saying? I still let her know. I don't just go and grab. You know what I mean?
But I think that's what makes it worse is, like, from kids, you expect that. From adults, like, you would think you know what's right and wrong. Like, I would always say, listen, if you've never been to my, I think that there's a time period. You know, if you've been to my house for, you know,
hold on,
3-4 months.
Can we say my name before we just get into this?
We're not gonna say your name.
You want to be in this conversation?
Yeah, I think so. Since
all right,
you're talking about me,
I never said it. I never say your name,
but I can tell by your body language.
Must be nice. Maybe you could tell with Ray's body language.
But before you get into this, I want to bring up about how it's being raised.
Well, no, hold on.
Let me talk.
Can I hold on? You can defend yourself once we're done.
No, I don't want to talk about this right now. I want to talk about something else, and then we can get into this.
No. This is my show. You can't talk.
No, but I want to talk about how people are raised
with the kids.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You could, because you feel like you should defend yourself right away.
No, because I was on a cruise, and one table you see kids making a mess, throwing food, and then the other side you see other kids well behaved and just enjoying the meal with their parents. So it's all about how you're raised.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, but I feel like see, there's different in a setting like that. Your kids shouldn't be going like it's okay to have a good time, but if the place is packed and there's people around you and stuff like that, and it's a nice setting, the kids shouldn't be acting all crazy, because there's a time and place for everything. Kids should enjoy their time when you're at the pool, you're at the park, you're at a arcade place. Yes, go crazy, do whatever you want, just you don't get injured and don't injure others. You know what I'm saying? But when you're in a setting, as you're in a restaurant, all right, that's a family setting. And yes, you can laugh, you can have a good time, you can tell jokes, you want to poke at each other, sit next to each other, and it's not getting too physical and you're just giggling about it. Yes, that's all perfectly fine. But if you're going to start getting up, running around the table, you're going to be bumping into people, you're going to be screaming on the top of your lungs the whole time. Because as a parent, if my kid starts yelling, my youngest, she's got all the energy in the world. Sometimes I got to remind her, hey, lower your voice. We're in public where there's other people. You know, you're home, you can do whatever you want. But out in the public settings, like, you need to know when is the right time and the right place. But as an adult, I feel like adults should understand to respect certain things. So I would say this. If somebody was to come to my house, all right?
No, don't say somebody. Say the name.
No, in general. If somebody was to come to my house.
No, say my name. Let's hear it.
You just want me to say your name.
No, because I know who you're talking about.
No, in general. This is
a general conversation.
This is my
but I'm going to say it.
Because if I was to go over to Ray's house, I'm not going to just walk into his fridge, open his cabinets, looking inside and stuff like that. If I want something, I'm going to ask him, like, hey, Ray, can I get a water? Can I get so now if he's having a party, obviously he can be like, yo, Dave,
help yourself.
The soda's in the fridge if you want some, maybe this and that. Now I know it's okay. Hey, he told me the soda's in the fridge. If I want some, I could just grab it in the fridge. But I'm not going to walk into his house randomly and be like, oh, soda's most likely in the fridge. Let me go in there. Because maybe he has a cooler on the side. Be like, oh, yeah, the soda's there. I'll ask him before that.
All right, so what do you want to say to me?
You want me to say to you?
Okay? No, because I know who you were talking about. You were laughing when you said it, so let's hear it.
I wasn't talking about that. But if you want to get into it,
well, yeah, let's hear it.
I want you to explain yourself how you feel is right to go into somebody's house and start grabbing the dog snacks and feeding the dog a bunch of snacks. Okay? Going in the next time you visit to open a closet because you know the dog snacks is in there and just reach for the dog snacks and then try to feed the dog again when you was told the first time not to drink to feed the dog that.
We're not talking about the dog food. We're talking about like food and drinks and taking it for yourself.
Yeah, but you never went and took a drink unless you asked for it.
Yes, but the first time I was here.
But the first time you was here, you saw snacks on the table and what you do.
But the first time I was here was December 19th. We went to the Sirens hockey game.
How you know that?
And you told me.
You put that in your calendar?
Oh my God.
You told me your exact words, not mine. Help yourself, bro. Whatever you want, you could have.
I would never say that.
You did though. I said, Dave, do we have anything to drink? You're like, help yourself.
I would never say that.
Yes, you did.
No, I wouldn't, because you know what I keep in my house? Water. And the water bottles aren't in the fridge. So I would never give you.
What's the point of this? Was this bothering you for a while and now you want to confront me about it?
The episode's boundaries. We got to talk about people's boundaries. Do you want like a therapy session?
No, I was just wondering
if I told you to stay out on my porch, right?
Yeah, and have I?
If I told you to
Did I walk
hold on. If I told you to stay on my porch, right?
And I have.
And I said, if you need to use the bathroom, you can come inside, right?
Yeah, I have.
And Ray asks me, yo, Dave, can I use your bathroom? But the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, wait, nobody's allowed in the house. And I'm like, no, I said, whoever needs to use the bathroom can use the bathroom, right? So Ray comes into the house and you go, oh, well, if Ray's going to go, we could just stand in the living room. When I told you nobody's allowed in the house. Now, I shouldn't have to explain myself why nobody's allowed in the house unless you want to use the bathroom.
But I just don't walk in and say, hey, let me take this, let me take that.
Did you not take a Mandarin the other time? And don't lie, Doug. Don't lie.
When Shane was here?
Yes.
I brought some from my house, but I did take one because you.
There you go.
Yeah, but I think you got it all.
Listen, I get it.
I think you're misunderstood.
I understand. Like if I would go to your house, you don't mind it, right?
Yeah, like if you came to my house and you want a drink, just open the fridge. You could take it. I don't care.
But that's your house rules.
No, but
you can't assume that everybody's house.
No, I get that. I understand that, but that's the bond we have.
Yeah, but you got to think of boundaries at that time. What happens if I went to your house and started feeding your cat, and you were like, "Wait, the cat can't eat," and I just randomly started feeding him, and you're like, "No, don't feed him." And then the next time I go there, I start feeding the cat.
Maybe I was wrong for the dog food, but I like animals, so
I get that. But you gotta. That's what we're trying to say is you gotta respect the boundaries of what people put in place, because if not, you're not going to be allowed to go to that person's house at some point. Or if you go there, somebody's going to have to watch you and be like, yo, look at Doug. Doug's gonna do this. Doug's gonna do that. Like, I can't leave Doug alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to remember, this is my house, right? At the end of the day,
and he's not a single man. He got a family inside.
Must be nice. Yeah, I got a family in there. You know, I don't know if the kids are walking around, if they, if they happen to just take a shower real quick. That's why we stay in a set location at points.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody's got to use the bathroom, what do? I walk them in and make sure that nobody's around. It's a clear path, this and that. Because the last time I took Ray in there was somebody in the shower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Ray, somebody's in the shower. Let's wait. And I just went back in and out to make sure.
Dave, I'm sorry.
Must be nice. Okay.
No, but the whole thing is about boundaries, because it's not only about like trying to teach kids when they're young. It's about how they respond when they get older. You know what I mean? So like we were talking about kids now, like I know.
Wait, Dave, are we good?
Yeah. Must be nice.
Like I know when
Doug, you fired.
Yeah. I know when I was younger, right? Whenever the adults were getting ready to talk, all the kids went outside. You weren't even in the house because they didn't want to hear you. They didn't want you hearing adult conversations.
Yeah.
Because you weren't ready for it. But nowadays, parents have this thing where they try to treat their kids like they're their friends. So they talk to them about other family members. They talk to them about whatever type of relationships they're going through. And now the kid thinks they're grown.
Yeah. But that happens to me. Like, so I got 2 kids. Like, sometimes you don't realize the kids are in the room. Sometimes. You're talking to your spouse, you're talking to a friend or whatever it is. And you'll say something. And like my kids are nosy sometimes. Like you literally got to be like, yo, go
check somewhere, make sure you're not there.
So like they'll be like, oh, like they'll listen to the conversation and mention something. And I'll be like, anybody tell you to listen? Like nobody asked for your opinion at this time, because you need to realize, listen, hey, this conversation is not meant for you at the end of the day. And if it was meant for you and I was talking to you, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
But like certain things, like nowadays, you realize, well, with kids, you realize sometimes you gotta like talk in code, or you gotta be like, oh, you remember this person and that, remember that situation? Yeah, well, this happened.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes in. Is like whatever your kid learns growing up, and that's the crazy part, because as a kid, we just adapt to whatever our parents do. Our parents allow.
Yep.
So if you're gonna allow this to happen all the time, then they're just gonna constantly do it throughout their whole life. And there's consequences to these actions sometimes, because if a kid's nosy all the time and they grow up to be nosy, somebody gonna be like, why are you always nosy? And you old enough, you might get punched in the face.
But come on now. Like I have one niece, and on her mother's side, her aunt calls her all the time to talk to her about whatever relationship she's going through. She talks to her when she's drunk. So now my niece talks about people as if she knows them, as if she's grown. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't be talking like that. Well, like, where you learn this from is because her aunt calls her and talks to her about adult stuff that she shouldn't be talking to her about. And don't call her when you drunk. Why are you calling kids when you drunk?
Yeah. How old is it? How's your niece?
My niece is what, 12, 13?
Yeah, calling your niece while you're drunk at that age is wild.
Bruh. And I'm sitting there like, yo, your mom and dad, which is my brother, allows this to happen, and don't be like, hey, listen, if you want to talk when you're drunk, call somebody else. Don't call a kid and ramble on running your mouth about adult stuff to a kid.
Yeah,
you're crossing the boundary.
Dangerous.
Especially if it's not your kid at the end of the day.
Bro.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, man. I got a potty mouth. But I tell, like, sometimes even the music I listen to in the car, like, I don't care if my kids listen to music as long as that, and I tell them, even my wife should be like, don't repeat what he says.
Yeah.
As long as they know not to repeat it.
No, I listen to it in front of them.
Because I'm not gonna stop what I do at the end of the day. They're gonna listen to it sooner or later in their life.
Yeah, but they're gonna follow what you do. The apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, but you gotta show them the correct way. As a kid, when they get older in life, they're gonna curse. They're gonna do whatever they want at the end of the day. But as a young kid, you have to teach them, hey, listen, yes, that is a bad word. Don't say it. I don't want to hear you repeat it. You're not old enough to repeat it. I mean, should we be cursing in general? No, but we do it at the end of the day. So
do you consider yourself a role model?
Who, me?
Yeah.
To you, yeah. Must be nice. Listen, it's not about it's about teaching your kids the correct way. That's like you trying to say, oh, tell your kids not to have fun.
Yeah.
Right? No, there's a time to have fun, there's a time to play, and there's a time to relax and sit down.
So I get that, but like let's say Michael in Brooklyn or drinking at 15 years old. 15, 16 years old. You expect me to be okay with that?
Well, it depends. All right. So I think the age to drink in a household is like 16 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to tell somebody, like if you had your kid at the house or 18, say they're 18, they're not 21 yet, and you say, okay, you can have a beer here at the house, 18, but you say, listen, you can have, I'm allowing you to have a beer here, but this is the only time that you can have it because you're in a close, you explain it. Listen, we're in a closed setting. It's family and friends. People can keep an eye on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, drink responsibly. You can teach them early on.
Exactly.
Because it's not illegal for you to give that kid a drink in their own house. Now, is it illegal for them to go out and have a drink in a public setting? Then yes, because first of all, they're underage and they're not with a guardian. Okay.
Yep.
So you want to teach them early on. So if I listen to things with curse words in it, my kids know better than to repeat the curse word. Now, if they know better to repeat the curse word now, later on in their life, they're going to watch what they say. They may listen to it, but they may not repeat it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And at least they'll be like, if they're in front of their parents, they'll be like, oh, well, let me at least not say it in front of them. So
yeah, one
situation I had growing up, you know, curse words, when I first experience with curse words were, I had said the B word and I was like, but what is it? I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I go to my mom and I say, hey mom, what's a beat? I got a beating. Now, I don't think that was right because I didn't understand what it was. You're beating me for something that I don't understand. But if I understood what it was, because what happened is the trauma from getting beat from saying something that you didn't understand turned me into a potty mouth. So I'm like,
yeah, you like this.
What did you say?
Come on, man. I'm not going to say it on the air.
No, but what did you say? Like, did you say it as, hey, B?
No. I said, what is a B?
So it was in the form of a question.
Yeah.
And then she hit you.
Yeah. She was like, what did you just say? And then she went and got my aunt and said, listen to what this boy just said. And I was like, what is a B? And they was like, so, you think you could call people a B around? And I'm like, what? I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Did she send you to Bel Air to live with your aunt?
No comment.
You gave me that one, right? You gave me that one when you mentioned the aunt.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those, like, you need to teach them correctly. You know, like if you're informing them of what's right and what's wrong, and they acknowledge what's right and what's wrong, then it's not a problem at the end of the day. Because listen, I listen to songs. There's certain songs I skip. All right. There's certain songs where it's just too vulgar. Yeah. There's a Method Man, METHOD, man. How it starts, like, it's vulgar. I'm gonna skip that track.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, nowadays music is accessible to anybody, so they're gonna hear curse words regardless. So why not just hear it when I'm playing it, and I tell you know, let them know, hey, I don't want to hear you saying that. Like my youngest, there's some songs that, like, you get the dirty version, and my little one knows it, but she'll skip over saying the bad words. See, now I know that you're not gonna say it. You might not know what it means. You might not know anything about it, but you know not to say it at the end of the day.
Exactly.
That's the same thing as, like, Ray's mom could have been like, oh, that's a bad word. Don't say it.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, he could have been like, oh, that's a bad word. Like,
exactly.
I might get in trouble if I say that again. You know what I'm saying? So it's about teaching the kids early on, hey, this is what right, this is what's wrong. And there's kids, you know, as kids that are ADHD, there's kids with autism, there's, you know, all disabilities that sometimes you need to take them and you got to give them that stern talking to. And sometimes it takes over the course of time. It takes over the course of time to get them to get into that habit.
Exactly.
But you can't just let it run free all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you let it run free all the time, they're just going to do it all the time.
Exactly. And if you could get them to understand that when they're young, when they get older, they won't let other people cross certain boundaries that they set. And that's what it's really about when it comes to boundaries. Because in relationships, people have different types of boundaries. So you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice and what they're willing to sacrifice for y'all to commingle or for y'all to work on whatever relationship y'all are trying to build. But you don't just absolutely say, I have no boundaries. And then they come along and say, well, I have all these boundaries. And then you're clashing, but you're trying to build a relationship. So that's why we really want to talk about boundaries, because we want you to start thinking, as our fans and viewers, start thinking about boundaries that you've set and which ones you're, even when it comes to work. It's not just relation. This is in all facets of life.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to set those boundaries to people, because at the end of the day, you know, like we said, everybody's growing up different. Everybody has different boundaries. So if you explain your boundaries to begin with, you know, maybe take 1 or 2 times, but at least over time they'll get the idea. Hey, this is this person's house, or this is, you know, like if you come to my house, hey, don't just go in the fridge. But if you go to Doug's house, he might not care. He might be like, yo, my house is your house at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's everybody's boundaries is different. So as long as you know in the beginning, I don't think you have a problem.
See, I get that, and we could wrap up soon, but I think it's just you and I are so close. Like we have this bond like that I felt comfortable. I felt like coming here, like felt like family.
Yeah, but at the end of the
even
day,
that family house, I don't
see. I might let you slide the first time, but I'm gonna tell you at the end of the day, hey, don't do that.
No, now I know. Did I do that today? I behaved.
Yeah, must be nice.
No, but do
took
you
you
get
like
it?
4 or 5 times.
Do you get it from my point of view?
But that's where we're going at. Is your boundaries are different from my boundaries. At the end of
As
the
long
day.
as you understand, I'm still love me.
And that's what we're saying, is that at the end of the day, you set those boundaries, you let those boundaries be known, because everybody's boundaries are different.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about you got to realize, if you let your kids, even adults, run free,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't explain the boundaries, they're always going to be like that.
Yeah. And this would be a good example too, Doug. Let's say you fed the dog snacks and the dog already had a full meal and the dog got sick. Then you would feel bad.
Oh,
because
yeah,
you crossed a boundary.
So
you know what I mean?
Let me ask you guys this opinion, and then we'll wrap up. So, you know, I have a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know how I like to pick up my cat.
Yeah.
If my 2 kids in the future, because I'm having 2,
Must be nice.
or let's say one of them saw me pick up my cat at my house. Do you think? And I don't say anything to him. Do you think if we go to other people's house,
they're gonna pick up other people's cats?
You think they'll do that?
That's what my dad
did that?
Yep.
Well, think of it this way. Say you pick up your cat, right? That's your cat.
Yeah.
And then I try to reach for your cat, not knowing that your cat doesn't like other people. And I just pick up your cat and it starts scratching me. But you didn't say, hey, Dave, like that's not my house, so I shouldn't be touching it. But like, I should ask you first, hey, Doug, you mind if I touch the cat, if I play with the cat, pick up the cat, whatever it is, because I don't know if that cat's gonna scratch me. Same thing with dogs. You know, dogs are protective of a house.
Mm-hmm.
The dog might be walking freely, but if you get too close to him, he might act a certain way.
Yeah.
So that's where the boundaries come in, right? So I mean, like we said, it's good enough for everybody's, set your boundaries for your family,
Mm-hmm.
but also to remind people, hey, there's other people have different boundaries, so respect those boundaries as well. Ask before you do.
Yep.
So this is another episode of Tequila Time. I'm your boy Big Dave,
and I'm your boy Ray, aka Mr. Yes Sir.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Next time.